Let's get things started tonight with Steve Botari.
Adam, thank you. The median sales price for homes in July in New Hampshire was $530,000. That is a meteoric rise over the past few years. Many Granite Staters have told us at this point, some of them are priced out of the housing market in our state altogether. And what could you do immediately as governor, Senator Morse, to increase new housing units and make sure some of them at least are within reach for families that are average here in the state?
Yeah, I believe in local control, and as Senate President, I already started working on this. I believe what we have to do with the communities that want to work with us and create housing stock in New Hampshire, we have to help them create infrastructure, whether that's through water or bringing them roads. We can do that, and we've already accomplished some of that when we worked with some of the federal funding that we got, but we can do even more now, and we can work with the local communities. But I think it's pretty troubling. You know, when President Trump came out today and talked about the fact that our housing prices have risen the highest in the nation, and that's because of things like Kelly sitting on the board of Blackstone. I mean, that's true. These companies come in, they drive up the cost of housing, and they make it harder for people to be able to afford things. And the other thing we should remember is the Biden administration has driven up inflation so high, and they've driven up interest rates that it's making it so hard for young people to get a loan these days, and we can help with that by electing a President Trump.
Senator Ayotte, you were invoked. 30 seconds.
Well, first of all, Chuck sounds like a Democrat blaming the private sector when we have a housing crisis when it comes to supply. We need to build housing of all forms. More single-family homes, manufacturing, and we need to make sure that we overhaul the state process to make it better. You have to get multiple state approvals. I'm going to do that as governor. We're going to get the private sector at the table, along with the state, along with the local officials, and partner to build more housing in this state.
Senator Ayotte, let's not forget about renters as well. A recent report says only 13% of two-bedroom rentals in New Hampshire are considered affordable. What innovative idea do you have to change that?
Again, I think it's a supply issue. When I talk about building more housing, we need to build more apartments too. And we need to make them more accessible to people by having more opportunities for families. So again, building more, creating those partnerships. Yes, using our transportation infrastructure dollars to incentivize those local partnerships while still maintaining that local control that we respect here in New Hampshire. But the state process is not where it should be. I'm going to overhaul that. But there's no doubt that people are paying too much right now. But more apartments we will need of all kinds, and also single family homes, you name it. And then, of course, bringing interest rates down so that we can build things in a more affordable way makes sense too. But that happens at the federal level. We need new leadership there.
And Senator Morse, when it comes to renters, only 13% of two-bedroom rentals here in the Granite State are affordable. How do you change that?
Yeah, but what you're seeing happen in New Hampshire is we're a success story. We drove our economy. And you're seeing like apartments being built in Salem, New Hampshire, because we brought them the infrastructure. And that's how it works. When we brought the infrastructure, they built more. But I got to tell you, when Kelly talks about Blackstone and basically says, I'm acting like a Democrat, the only one that's acting like a Democrat is the board of Blackstone. They contributed to the Democrats constantly when they made these record profits in the states.
Senator, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, I would just say, listen, what Chuck is saying is just false when it comes to that company here in New Hampshire. But what we need is actually to partner with the private sector, and he's going to turn them away because he does sound like a Democrat. We need to partner with developers, builders in this state, people who want to build one home, multiple homes. I will bring everyone together in this state to get that done. And we do need people at the table. We need the private sector at the table. We need everyone. So yes, he does sound like a Democrat because that's what Democrats do. They attack private business instead of working with them.